Hello, my name is Sarah Sloan, and you're listening to The Sarah Sloan Show. I'm excited to be back with you guys. Whew, lots going on in the world, wouldn't you say? You know, in like shows and stuff, whenever, I don't even remember what I'm thinking of, but like someone would be, the camera would cut to them and they'd be like working on something. They'd be like, you know, typing away, or like, it was really, I feel like it was at the 50s, so probably not typing, but like writing on something. And then they like look up and they're like, I don't know, it's just like, well, hello, I didn't see you there. And then they start talking. I always felt like that was pretty cheesy, but funny in its own right. You and I agree. And I know we do. With all that's going on in the world, I hope you guys are feeling calm. Isn't that the worst whenever someone's like, calm down? And you're like, you saying calm down just makes me want to calm up. You just irritated me by saying calm down. How dare you? I'm angry now. I notice guys say it more to females. I feel like females know better than to say that. And this isn't like an anti-man kind of a thing. We don't do that on this show. We don't do that. But it is interesting. Okay, let's get into it. I was trying to push off the news just because. Is it getting me down a little? Yeah, it is. It is getting me down a little bit. When you mess with my Trump diddly-umptious, puts me in a little bit of a bad mood. All right, let's see. We all know what's going on with Trump right now. My poor baby. He got indicted. What's this all about? What's happening? Why did all this occur? He had a thing with Stormy Daniels. She's a porn star. And, you know, before the 2016 campaign, during it, whatever, he was supposedly, she was being paid off to keep silent. Which, you know, if you're going to delve into that world, guys, because it's usually guys that do it, porn stars talk, is what I've seen in the news. They seem to talk a lot. It's almost as if they aren't trustworthy. No, I'm going crazy here. What am I saying? Maybe they don't have biblical morals. Oh my gosh. I'm going way too far right now. Way too far. It's almost like because they don't value themselves and love themselves, therefore they can extend that love to others. No. I think there's something wrong with me mentally today. So if you pay off a person that isn't trustworthy to hush, maybe we can't trust him to actually hush. But of course, should he be involved in that world in the first place? No. Do I like that side of Trump, that he had that past? No, I don't. It doesn't really make me happy. But at the same time, do I believe that God can use anybody he wants? And that we all have flaws? And God doesn't see our sins as like with certain levels like we do? Like, oh, you lied to that man. Well, that's bad, but oh, you stole a bunch of money from someone. That's worse. It doesn't really work that way. Someone told me an analogy. It's like a coin. We get a coin for each of our sins. And so we like to just stack up the coins. And so then like maybe my stack is like this high. Somebody else's stack is this high. Someone's stack is this low because they're like perfect. But really God's just looking down and all he sees are circles. You know? But anyway, Trump, my poor baby. Yeah, he got indicted, and really, like, these are what did it say? This is Attorney General Bragg is his name, and I'm sure he's bragging a lot right now, very arrogant. He said he has 34 charges on Trump, but he can only say one of them. All the others, he can't tell you what they are. Tell me each and every one of those charges. I want to know. I'm curious. So It's sad. It's sad. Trump had to be led out. He was arrested. They got his prints, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this happened. And it's the first time something like this has happened to a former president. Okay, let's read a little bit. In a return to the saga that began shortly after he won the 2016 election, the district attorney charged Trump with 34 counts of falsifying business records in connection to a payment from a non-disclosure agreement signed by adult entertainment actress Stormy Daniels and Trump's then attorney Michael Cohen. And Michael, hates him, by the way. But basically what's happening is these are misdemeanor charges that are being brought up to felony charges. Why is all this being done? We know why it's being done. They don't like Trump and they don't want him to run for president. The Democrats. This is a Democrat-led thing. And a lot of people were standing outside while Trump was being arrested in New York. And they were cheering for him to be released. And then there are other people that are, of course, supporting the fact that he's being arrested. It's just, this can get pretty ugly. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this tit for tat. So when Republicans become full of power, then we're going to go after this person. And then Democrats will go after this person. We don't really want this. So let's see. Let's listen to Rudy Giuliani just a little bit. He's speaking on the Newsmax show, Spicer and Co. Sean Spicer. He was Trump's first press secretary. I don't think he was very popular. But, I think he's a good man. It's just, yeah. I think he just couldn't handle the role. And if you've noticed, ever since then, it's just been females that have been the press secretary. That is interesting to think about now that I'm saying it out loud. I said it loud and proud.
First of all, it's 34 charges that were just recycled. Right. It's the same charge over and over again. This is a misdemeanor from 2016. Mike Carter brought this up. The statute of limitations, 2 years. Even if you make it a felony, it's 5 years. 52% of felonies in New York City is downgraded to misdemeanor. And this is what he wants to do. And I want to bring in right now former President Trump's personal attorney, America's mayor, former New York City mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. Let me ask you this. I just don't understand, in a city that's downgrading felonies, how do you turn around and say, we're going to take a misdemeanor from 2016 with a 2-year statute of limitation and then recycle it 34 times and say, we're tough on crime in New York City?
Well, because you're a corrupt lawyer, a corrupt prosecutor who was put in there by George Soros for the purpose of creating chaos, havoc.
Yeah, which, by the way, what they're referencing is the district attorney Bragg, the guy I was just talking about, who's really kind of leading this effort to arrest Trump and all the rest. This is hypocritical because, like I just said, he's trying to make a misdemeanor charge and conflate it to a felony. And even then, it's still not that serious. Basically, you're trying to find a crime versus actually just trying to, bring justice. And so this guy recently, he's just been not arresting people on the streets, and it's led to major unrest in New York. People are leaving New York because it's so violent there. People being thrown into the subway rails and things. You don't want to be in New York right now. It's not a fun place. New York, New York. It's a wonderful town. Not right now. New York City. I always say it as if it's the whole place. But yeah, so he's full of it. So that's what they're referencing right now.
One of 50 or 60 that he spent millions of dollars on. He's probably one of the single biggest reasons for all the violence in New York. He not only the individuals that he releases that beat people up, throw them on the subways, and any number of them have been outlined in the newspapers. But he creates a sense of entitlement among criminals so that the crimes that we have today are much bolder than I ever remember because they have a champion. Bragg is the criminal's champion. He's the best thing that happened in the history of New York City.
Well, I got to tell you, Rudy, one of the things I've noticed is that Bragg almost sounds like he's running for New York governor. It was such a political move that he made with this press conference. I do want to ask you, though, I think one of the big issues that we need to highlight here is that there was a leak. These charges were leaked to a reporter. Should there not be a leak investigation into this unlawful grand jury disclosure? Because my feeling is that you would have the DA's fingerprints all over this.
Well, sure. If we were a city and state of laws, that would be true. But we're a corrupt city and state. And it's Democrats who did the leaking, so obviously it's not going to be investigated any more than Cuomo stuffing all those elderly people in nursing homes and watching them die, or all the money that Mrs. de Blasio took that never was investigated, or I can go on and on. I mean, this indictment, by the way, is a piece of junk. I probably have reviewed 10,000 indictments. I probably brought the most important indictments of the 20th century and convicted people. This is a piece of total junk. It's even worse than he was talking. This is a misdemeanor. It's attaching itself to another misdemeanor in order to become a felony. I mean, you got to be kidding. That's he should give his law degree back if he actually got one.
Yeah, it's scary. It's Trump, a line that he said, I'm paraphrasing, but basically they're coming for me and it really means that they're coming for you. That's not exactly how it's said. But gosh, if they could do this to Trump, say they just feel like doing something to a citizen, just a regular citizen, what's going to stop them? If they can get away with it with Trump, what can they do to other people? And yeah, for the people that are Democrats and they feel pretty safe right now, you know how things change. We had 8 years of Bush. We had 8 years of Obama. We had 4 years of Trump. We're having 4 years of Biden. Things change in this country. So that's why you want some fundamental, some foundational understandings that, hey, we're not going to just take advantage of the fact that we have power right now and do things that are harmful. Obviously, you are going to try to make things happen that benefit your party. But there are just certain lines you're not going to cross. And Trump, man, is this going to help him? Is this going to help him whenever he is running for president? It already is helping him. It's already making him more popular again. By the way, I just wanted to say, obviously, Trump is pleading not guilty to these 34 charges. Because, yeah, he's not guilty. Misreporting business reports to the first degree. Okay. It's silly. It's really silly. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Eric Adams, the New York City mayor who, replaced de Blasio, he was trying to call her out by name, saying, let's be orderly. And she's like, I'm peacefully protesting. It's just how about you focus on your people and the fact that it's very dangerous in New York City. I think the least of your worries is Marjorie Taylor Greene, which, by the way, she is so wonderful. These loony politicians, so-called, they usually end up being the best because they don't really care what other people say. I don't really like these sensible politicians that are just so calm and don't do anything and they're pushovers. I'm not really into it. Okay, so let's see what she said. I came to peacefully protest against the persecution of an innocent man, and not just any man. This is the former president of the United States of America, and the government has been weaponized against him. So yeah, people were shouting obscenities at her as she was speaking. It's still peaceful protest, but gosh, at least she wasn't shouting any obscenities. It's just silly. Every American should take a stand. This is what happens in communist countries, not the United States of America. Donald Trump is innocent. This is election interference. So yeah, this is happening. It's actually happening. Literally, I heard, I didn't see the actual statistics, but basically there's been, DeSantis, Trump, going for 2024 to be president, and there's been polls and there's been times where DeSantis has been edging Trump, Trump's been edging DeSantis. Usually Trump's been winning. With this, I think he's tripled. Trump is really beating DeSantis now. And then it's also interesting to see how the nominees for president, which DeSantis, by the way, still has not declared. I'm still really hopeful that he won't, because I think he doesn't need to do that. I think it'd be really messy for him, and he's not ready. And he just has some years of development, which is okay. It's all right. Give Trump his 4 years, please. But they can't be anti-Trump on this, the nominees, the Republican nominees, because if they're anti-Trump, you just lost so much support right there. Just like that, you lost support. So, but at the same time, if you're running against the guy, you can't just be like, yes, Trump, because you're running against him at the end of the day. Because if you were really supportive of Trump, you wouldn't be running against him, because you'd want him to have his turn. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Johnson, I think is his name. He now put his hat in the ring. He's going to be one of those nothing burgers. He's running because, the people around him that really like him are like, you're awesome. Like, you should totally run for president. He's like, stop it. Should I really? Okay, dare me to run. Dare me to run. And they're like, we dare you. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to run. Gosh, you guys forced me into this. Stop. And it's like literally like just like 10 people telling him to do it, while the the whole Republican Party across the nation is like, we don't want you to run. We don't want you to run. And he wasn't even the best governor, from what I've heard. He's now been replaced by Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and I think she's doing much better than him. But I think whenever push came to shove on transgender, issues, he was almost supporting them. So that's all I know about him. I don't know too much, but we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, stay up to date with Trump, because this is scary. We don't want stuff like this to happen. And by the way, I wouldn't want stuff like this to happen to a Democrat. I don't like this. This is really messy. And Trump's just having to do what they say. Poor guy. But yeah, whenever people see that Trump's like, hey, they're out to get me. They're out to get me. And then he's completely right on the fact that they are out to get him. Yeah, you just bolstered Trump's chance to becoming president of the United States in 2024. Please make it happen. Am I biased? Am I showing my bias right now? Sue me. Okay, so for a different topic, 'cause I'm sure you're done with that. It's depressing news. We don't like it. We obviously know what happened in Tennessee, the shooting. And yeah, just if you have like 10 seconds of time, in fact, I'll do it right now. God, I pray that you will bless the families that lost a child, lost a family member. Lord, touch their lives and use every situation for good. Touch them, God. Give them grace and favor. Help them through this grief to grieve in a healthy way. Thank you, God, for these families. And we thank you for the lives. And I just pray that this doesn't continue to happen. So yeah, if you can, just pray. Just pray like that. Just in a moment, you could just pray. And that helps so much. Kids died. A substitute teacher died. Imagine that. This was at a private school. A person came and shot a bunch of people. And a substitute teacher was there and died. Awful. So awful. This was an elementary school, so these were little kids. It was a Christian school. Basically, the person that was shooting had been a former student there. It was a biological female who thinks that she's a man. But she's obviously not, because you can't do that. So, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I don't know if she had issues with the school or what was going on there, but she, for whatever reason, wanted to target that school. I heard a report where it was like she was wanting to go to another school and shoot up that school, but she figured out there was too much security there. So right there is huge. If there's security at schools, that could deter a shooter. So why is there not enough security at schools? Either way, when a terrible thing happens, What is our thought? Think about a drunk driver running into a family. The whole family dies. The drunk driver walks away and is fine. Obviously, they go to jail. You know what I'm saying, though. They keep their life, and the whole family is dead. I've never heard anybody say, this is why we should ban alcohol. There should never be alcohol. Because this kind of stuff happens. Families die. Kids die. No one ever says that. Ever. So what's going on there? There was a really good Instagram post. I'm going to read from it because it was just so helpful in really thinking about this issue. It's about a different perspective on school shootings. What determines a life lost to you? Nearly 400 kids under the age of 16 have been shot in Chicago within the past year and a half. However, the media insist that the lives lost in school shootings matter most. Why? Because you can't relate to Chicago? You don't live there, so why would you care? Your kids do go to an elementary school, though. You can relate to that. The media is determining what's worth showing you and pulling at your heartstrings. This is how they think. It's a game, a very sick one, where the board is emotionally driven citizens and the pawns are innocent children. What's the end goal? Well, look at how fast politicians go from mourning to making legislation. And by the way, this is on the account, I don't know how to say it, so AMIRXODOM, just to give credit, but I don't follow this account or anything. I just like this post. So, this was my favorite part, definitely. Guns. We defend our president, ... with guns. We defend our celebrities with guns. We defend our banks with guns. We defend our courts with guns. We defend our jewelry stores with guns. We defend our sporting events with guns. We defend our music festivals with guns. We defend our children with a sign that reads, "This is a gun-free zone," and then call someone with a gun to come help in an emergency. Yeah, that was extremely powerful. That's why I had to share that post. And I don't know your thoughts about it. And then I was even reading an article that was just talking about how a lot of these legislative attempts at stopping these crimes from occurring don't actually do much good. The federal assault weapons ban of 1994. So it was also known as the Public Safety and Recreational Firearms Use Protection Act. And it was signed by President Bill Clinton. And it was just to stop all, it was to stop all these crimes that have been occurring. And yeah, it prohibited the selling, manufacturing, importation, and transfer of specific semi-automatic firearms characterized as assault weapons. And it wasn't renewed in 2004. Bush didn't want to renew it. And so it's not like still in place. And it's been relatively ineffective. So there was a JAMA internal medicine review in 2017, Firearms Laws and Firearms Homicides, a systematic review. And it was concluded that limited data from 4 studies on the effects of the federal assault weapons ban in effect from 1994 to 2004, so 20 years here. What is wrong with me? 10 years. Do not provide evidence that the ban was associated with a significant decrease in firearm homicides. Another study found that after adjusting for population growth, it was not apparent that the assault weapons ban had any impact on the number of public mass shootings. So during the 5th year of the ban being effective, the most infamous mass shooting, Columbine, basically happened. It was 1999, April 20th, which I think is also Hitler's birthday. And then that's also, am I wrong on that? And then I think it's also that drug day where everyone's weeded out. And I don't really understand that either. I don't dabble. Your love is my drug. So, yeah, obviously we know what happened with Columbine. 2 high school seniors ended the lives of 12 students and injured 21 others. it didn't end up having much of an effect at stopping crimes from occurring. Who do these laws hurt? These laws hurt good citizens that own guns and want to use it as self-defense. There are so many guns in this country. There are millions upon millions of guns. Are you going to tell me that all those people do crazy crimes? No. Who are the people that misuse guns? Criminals. I used to always say, if you had a gun in a classroom with all these kids and someone just came in, put the gun down on the teacher's desk, and then left, what would happen? What would happen? Well, if I was a student in that classroom, I would just look at the gun and I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't touch it. Maybe some boy would go over and kind of like look at it, hold it, touch it. Maybe the teacher would just put it in their drawer. But if there was someone who was a little bit different, they might go up and grab that gun and try to use it to hurt people in the classroom. And what would it take for that student to do that? Hatred, bitterness, a mental illness? Who knows? But can you see how the gun didn't get up itself and start just going around and just going like, hey, I'm a gun and I'm going to hurt you. Boom, 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 boom. It didn't do that in this hypothetical situation. It was all about who was using the gun. And the majority of people are not going to misuse guns. But there are some people that will. And there will always be people that will misuse guns. Because you can't control and stop people. So all these gun legislations, they don't do any good. There's so many laws in Illinois. And they have the strictest gun laws in the country. And yet they have some of the worst homicide rates in the country. Let's see. Yeah, I saw some interesting. They try to do some of these laws where it's like you can't purchase the gun. You have to wait a couple days or things along those lines. I understand that in principle. I understand. I really do. Say some guy, he's angry at his woman for leaving him and he's going to get a gun and just shoot her. Well, it gives him 3 days to think about this and simmer down or something like that. That's a hypothetical situation. But what if you're the lady that realizes a guy wants to kill her and she needs to get a gun for self-defense? I'll tell a quick story that I heard, and this is a true story, although I may get a little bit of the facts wrong because I don't remember it 100%, but it was a former Texas state legislator, and she went with her family to Golden Corral, and you weren't allowed to bring guns in the restaurant. So left the guns in the car. Some guy came in, and he started shooting everybody up. And she literally had the gun in her car, and she could have shot him down and stopped all that crime from occurring. I think she lost all of her family. Stupid laws like that. Guess what? Your little sign, Golden Corral, if it was Golden Corral, I'm pretty sure it was. Your little sign didn't work. Somebody still felt like bringing the gun in there. So, sorry. And guess who did obey the sign? The person who isn't going to misuse the gun. But if that sign wasn't there, she would have had her gun with her, and that guy would have came in, and she would have shot him down and stopped more death from occurring. So yeah, these little signs, they don't stop criminals. The whole point is criminals are rebellious people who don't listen to rules and regulations. So you could put any law in place, and they're going to find a way to break that law. I feel like it's pretty obvious, but... Yeah, and a lot of people, like this lady that killed these kids in Tennessee. Have we heard of that, really? I don't really hear of women school shooters. That is pretty rare. And she was a sheltered Christian girl. And then she went to art school. So she was very sheltered, then goes straight to an art school, a liberal school. And then she starts kind of questioning her identity and things like that. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what led up to this. But yes, certain ideologies, it just seems to happen. It seems to happen. I'll tell you this, a sold out Christian that loves God, I don't see them shooting up schools. I really don't. Someone maybe that's deranged, yeah, that's who shoots up schools. Megyn Kelly likes to focus on the mental health side of this rather than focusing just on the guns. The majority of the media likes to just focus on the guns. But if a population doesn't have guns, then the authorities can do whatever they want, and that's kind of scary too. So there's a lot of play. Okay, sorry, back to Illinois. You know me, I get on my tangents. I'm crazy. All right. Yeah, so some of their legislation went so far that the Supreme Court even had to get involved. So in 1982, they banned handguns, the possession of handguns by civilians. In 2010, years later, I don't want to say the number because I'm going to mess it up. I just messed up the last one, 1994 to 2004. That was embarrassing. You guys saw that. So they ruled the ban unconstitutional. It was McDonnell versus City of Chicago. And so then, once again, the citizens were allowed to own guns. You know you've gone pretty far whenever the Supreme Court has to get involved. You went a little too far there. Chicago has had the most mass shootings over the last 4 years. They report that since 2018, the city has seen 811 injuries and fatalities. That's a lot of death. 811 injuries and fatalities. Okay, so let's see. In 2020, Chicago saw 769 murders and 3,261 shootings. So yeah, in 2019, they saw 495 murders and 2,140 shootings. Yeah. It shouldn't just be kids in school. It shouldn't just be their lives that matter. All lives matter. It's something that's so lame to say now, so taboo to say or whatever. Yeah, I don't know why I said lame. Every life matters, and so it doesn't matter if it's in Chicago or if it doesn't matter if it's in a school. A human life is a human life, and it matters. All right. Okay, after all that sobering stuff, let's go to a verse. Psalm 77. Has the Lord rejected me forever? Will he never again be kind to me? Is his unfailing love gone forever? Has his promises permanently failed? Has God forgotten to be gracious? Has he slammed the door on his compassion? So, I like this because it's in the Bible, obviously. People have read it for years and years. And what it shows me is that God's not afraid of our questions. God's not afraid of people kind of doubting in him. He's bigger than all that. He's strong enough to take it, And we can ask those questions. And we can still be in love with him. Have you ever had a little bit of doubt in someone that you really love? It's gonna happen. Because we're humans, and we are going to have tendency to have questions in our mind, and it's okay. God is the safest place to go to with our doubts and with our questions, and he can answer them in that moment. It's that soft voice. Everybody can hear him. Everybody can talk to him. Everyone can communicate to him, and God is speaking to us all the time, which is really, I like that. I won't lie to you. I really like that God will talk to me all the time. And it's up to us to communicate back with him. He's a gentleman. He's not going to force his way in. It has to be a relationship. And nobody wants a relationship with a person that's like, you will be my friend. Do you understand that? You're going to be my friend. I think sometimes people suppress their doubts and their questions so much that it ends up bring them to a breaking point, and then they just leave the faith altogether. And I think that's a true shame. The questions, they are hard to answer, you know? But there's always an answer, unless there's not an answer. And I know that sounds like, what the heck, Sarah? You're contradicting yourself. If we knew all the answers to everything, what would that make us? I think it would make us God. And I don't want to be God. So therefore, yeah, there's going to be a few things in life that I don't know the answer to. And same for you. And we even withhold answers from people. If you think about it, how many times has someone asked you a question and you're like, I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I will not be able to answer that for you. And you know the answer, but you can't tell them because it wouldn't be good for them to know that information. Yeah, there's been times where somebody said something awful about somebody else and that person asked what that person said. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you because it wouldn't do you any good to know that information. There's going to be situations like that. So, and yeah, let's go ahead and answer. Has the Lord rejected me forever? No, opposite is true. Will he never again be kind to me? God is always kind to you. Is his unfailing love gone forever? No, it will always remain. Have his promises permanently failed? They will never fail. Never. Has God forgotten to be gracious? Nope, he doesn't forget. Has he slammed the door on his compassion? God is the most compassionate being that will ever be. It's okay to ask dumb questions and then realize you were wrong, and then you come to your senses and you're stronger in your beliefs. We're so afraid. Oh, if I ask a dumb question, if I mess up, if I fail, I am therefore a failure, or I am dumb because I asked a dumb question. No. It's okay. You can move on. And actually, it makes you a better person. Someone who's never failed, who's never experienced anything, we don't want to be around those people. They're weird. I felt like I learned a lot in that psalm. I really enjoyed that psalm. All right. Okay, so this is a bit of a different topic, but women's basketball has been kind of talked about again. And I don't pay attention to sports. I don't like sports. I think they're a waste of time. But a lot of what I do in my life is a waste of time. So it's just like, I'm not like saying nobody should pay attention to sports. I'm just saying I don't like it. But women's basketball has been talked about a lot, and it hasn't normally been talked about. People usually don't care about women's basketball. And now there's been this recent college game that I think was, LSU, Iowa, and a ton of people watched it. It was the most watched women's college basketball game in history. There was an average of 9.9 million viewers on ESPN. And according to this article, it drew a bigger audience than any MLS, those soccer games ever, than the 2021 NBA Finals. That was like kind of strong COVID years, so people were forced to watch stuff. And the 2023 Sugar Bowl. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know what that is, but I do like me some sweet sugar. And then, that was it. That's crazy. And I think it really shows, this is just my theory, I could be totally wrong. I think it really shows that what the media or whoever kind of decides what's topical, they really can control us. Nobody cared about women's basketball, and now they care just out of nowhere? Interesting. With the Brittany Griner situation, that WNBA player, and she, I think she had some like weed or something, or like a vape or something in Russia, and then she was detained there, and then we traded her with this like really, pretty crazy assassin that we had here, and we traded her for him while there was a veteran that's still over there, still detained, and that person like literally was like, what the heck, guys, are you serious? I've been here way longer than her. Like, obviously I don't want her here either, but it's just like, I think that it's being forced upon us. And so I think if the media wanted to make curling a big thing, they would make curling a big thing and we would all fall in line. It's kind of scary. Because, basically my brother and my father, they always pay attention to sports. I never hear them talk about women's basketball. They just don't do it. out of nowhere, they're talking about this woman's basketball. It's a little, what do the young people say? Sus. Short for suspicious. But you know young people, they don't want to finish their words because what's the point of that? All right. Oh yeah, then this was just a little piece of news that I thought was kind of funny. In Paris, they're basically banning the rented electric scooters. Like they're going to stop September 1st. 89% of voters cast their ballots in favor of taking them off the streets. So yeah, those scooters, I remember I lived in Austin, Texas just for a little bit, and that was kind of whenever they were becoming popular, and they were just everywhere. They would just be all over the sidewalks and all that. And in my mind I'm like, okay, I think there's definitely some merit to it. Like, say you lived like 2 miles away from your work or something, and you just got on that scooter, zoomed over there just real quick, and you get there way faster than you would have walking. Like there is some merit to it for sure. But gosh, then they're just all over the streets, or like you have people zooming by you while you're walking on the sidewalk, and accidents could occur, things like that. So, especially a place like Paris, like you wouldn't want all those scooters there. So yeah, I just thought it was funny. They were just like, we don't want them. Take them off the streets. Police. You got to know what you want, Okay, so. This was a little funny. You always have your April Fools. So that was April 1st. Did I do any April Fools? No. There was a business I know of, and they were basically just like, we're closing, blah, blah, blah. And all these people were like in the comments on Facebook, no, why are you? And they're like, we're giving away a free car. And then they were like, that was April Fool's. Gotcha. I think it's funny. So on SNL, they do that weekend update. And I don't really pay attention to SNL anymore just because it's so one-sided. They don't make fun of Hunter Biden, Biden's son, but they always made fun of Donald Trump's sons. Forget you guys. Just be fair with it. I don't care if you're making fun of Republicans. Just also make fun of Democrats, and don't make fun of them in a way where it's just like, I am Elizabeth Warren and I'm so hardworking and I'm way too into my job. It's just like, oh, that's not that funny. I'm sorry. I want like the good, the dirt. Give me the dirt or go home. If you feel like it. So they're doing Weekend Update. And basically Weekend Update is just like some news monologue, jokes. And it's kind of a news background setting. And so one guy goes, another guy goes, one guy goes, another guy goes. And they're just telling their little jokes. And sometimes they have a little bit of conversation in between. And so the joke was that Michael Che, he was joking with Colin Jost, where Colin would do his joke and it got very weak laughter. Then Michael Che would tell his joke and it would get roaring laughter. And so then you're like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, why are my jokes not getting any laughs? And that's kind of the whole point of comedy. Laughter is your currency. So, here's the video about it.
Trump people have moved on. I mean, I went down to the courthouse today and I was the only protester there. You stink!
Colin Jost gets fooled on Saturday Night Live.
That's the meanest thing you've ever done. I'm covered in sweat.
The show happened to fall on April Fool's Day this year. So his Weekend Update co-host, Michael Che, decided it was a good time to play a prank on his pal on live television.
It's fun.
It all started when Colin's jokes didn't get the reaction they usually do.
When Trump surrenders, New York City police will take his official mugshot, which is the only thing Trump cares about getting right. I'm sure he's hoping it'll look cool like Frank Sinatra's, but I bet it'll end up closer to Nick Nolte.
Notice the mild laughing? Yeah, That happens a couple of times. Now, let's compare the audience reaction to Michael.
Trump is reportedly being charged with 34 counts of business fraud. Business fraud is also what they call the Trump costume at Spirit Halloween. President Biden on Friday told reporters that he had no comment on Trump's indictment, and then he danced away like the Six Flags guy.
Oh yeah, big difference. And Colin finally catches on when someone in the crowd yells,
You stink!
He said, "You stink," which is probably true because he just said he was covered in sweat.
I told them not to laugh at your favorite food.
Am I not mic'd? And then I was just like, oh, I just suck.
All right, moving right along. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You're evil.
We kind of try to find humor in everything, otherwise there's no other reason for us to be in comedy.
Michael's no stranger to pulling a fast one on Colin on
I would love to have a job for one of these entertainment channels because all they do is like that voice. Michael knows how to make things funny. Do you know what you want for breakfast? Like they just talk like that. Like I bet at home that's how they talk too. They're like, I'm getting ready for bed. Do you need to take a shower too? It'd be crazy if they always talked like that. Like their boss is like, hey, are you ready to do the video real quick? I'm ready. Are you ready to evaluate my performance? But I thought it was a little bit of light humor and fun. I've definitely gone too far in pranking in the past. That's why I've kind of just strayed away from it. Like I'll do a little prank every now and then, but I make them like very weak. If you make a prank, good pranks like hurt people. I remember one time someone was like, hey, hold my glasses for me. And then I was like, I'll hide their glasses. And we were just at like a school event. So I hid it on this table. And apparently the janitors were just like throwing everything away. They threw the glasses away. Yeah, it was a good prank. I really got her. Got her so good. The dumbest prank ever. I've done so many stupid pranks. So yeah, now I just do like weak baby pranks. Like for little babies. Like one of them was, we had been having a lot of meetings, so we had to go into like our supervisor's office and get ready for the meeting and all that. And so we pretended like that there was another meeting, but there wasn't. And we just walk in and just sit down. And then my supervisor came back in and she was just like, is there a meeting? I didn't, it was just a weak little baby prank. So little baby. Okay. And then this story's a few weeks old, but because of the recent news, I just thought it was a little interesting.
That they're awkward and you guys won't put your arms around each other.
You guys got memed. You've been memed.
Yes.
And Ashton Kutcher's explaining why.
It's insane.
Here's the backstory. The actor went viral last week with his Your Place or Mine co-star Reese Witherspoon. Why? Well, it had to do with how they posed for photos at their film's LA premiere. Fans thought it was kinda awkward to see pals posing side by side, keeping their distance. Even Ashton's wife, Mila Kunis, noticed it.
My wife called me. She texted Reese and I together and she's like, guys, you gotta act like you like each other. And I'm like, what is going on?
But Ashton's setting the record straight on the Chicks in the Office podcast, sharing the actual reason why he refused to put his arm around Reese.
Here's the thing, okay? All right, here's the thing. If I put my arm around her and was like all friendly with her, I'd be having an affair with her. Like that would, the rumor would be that I'm having an affair with her.
Right.
If I stand next to her, I put my hands in my pockets, so there's no chance that like that could be the rumor. The rumor is we don't like each other.
Was that the big draw for you to return to this genre? Was that we need kind of more of this levity in our lives?
It was the idea of working with the Queen.
Did working with Ashton for the first time live up to your expectations, Reese?
I mean, it was so fun in this perfect movie, so we both felt responsible for making it funny and better and endearing and real and grounded.
And it turns out Reese...
Poor guy. And, you know, I get it. Yeah, if you're touching a woman, and I see it a lot now. A lot of these pictures with the celebrities, if they're with fans and it's a female fan, the guys will just be like, they'll have their hands around them, but like inches off of them. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to deal with that crap. Because the second they touch them, out of nowhere, oh, he raped me. And look, do you see that photo? Do you see how he was touching me? And all this stuff. And so it's like guys have to be like so protective of themselves. And it's sad. It's sad because a woman could like literally go up to a guy, pinch his butt or whatever she wants, like kiss him, no issue. But a guy can't do that to a female without her freaking out. And obviously we know that mothers are more kind of nurturing and safer in that way, and they're not as likely to like be inappropriate. And guys are known a little bit more for going too far and things along those lines. But not every guy is going to do that. And also, if we're trying to be all about equality and all that, then you got to stick with your standards. If you're believing that you are the same as a man, then you can't do that stuff. Because a guy can't do it now. So, if this is the kind of world you want to create, where if I see Tom Cruise, and I just want to ask for a really quick picture, he's going to make sure not to touch me at all, just out of fear, which, by the way, like, I wouldn't want a picture of Tom Cruise. I don't even know why I said him. But that is sad. That is sad. That was my only point with that. Now, Reese Witherspoon, it's sad. She was married to this guy for like 12 years, I'm pretty sure. And they got divorced. You know, so that doesn't make me happy because, yeah, 12 years, that's a pretty good amount of time for celebrities. It's like 30 years in normal people. Like, imagine you compare. Like 5 years for a celebrity is like 20 years for normal people in the amount of years that they were married. Apparently, the backstory on what potentially happened was that the husband, he's been in the business, more just like kind of agent behind the scenes. And so he was going to be working on a certain app called Quibi. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Quibi. It was basically where you could just watch very short form videos because everyone's just on the go. So you just watch a really quick, like 5-minute video and then you just go on your way. And it's like content like Netflix and everything else, but just in like really short form. And it was supposed to change the game, the entertainment game. They had all these celebrities. They invested millions upon millions of dollars. And what happens? COVID. And so people are just at home and they want to watch a bunch of stuff in long form content. It was the worst timing. Although I will say, I do still wonder. I don't think they would have done great. That's just my guess because I don't think people are really that interested in that because you had to subscribe. It's like $10 a month. Well, TikTok is short form content and you can watch that on your phone in between all kinds of stuff, and that's free. Obviously, we know that you're tracked and stuff through China, but I don't think kids really care because if they cared, it wouldn't be so popular like it is today. So I guess it would be like a TikTok where it's a little bit more private. Who knows? But man, so it didn't pan out, and then he was pretty much just like out of a job, and I think he was having a midlife crisis. He was like changing his look, buying expensive stuff, which is sad. It basically, he wasn't the man that she married. And women want stability. Women don't want men who are so insecure like that. I know you guys know this, but it's just like, that's what happened, I'm pretty sure. I'll talk to her later about it. I'll be like, Reese, baby, talk to me. Tell me why you got that divorce. Any regrets, girl? You shouldn't have done it. You need to go back and tell him you're sorry. Divorce is sad. I don't like divorce. I prefer that people don't. But I think sometimes people aren't very careful in who they're marrying, and so that can oftentimes happen. And the worst is whenever someone like gets divorced and they act like they did absolutely nothing wrong. They played no part and why the marriage ended. And it was all the other person. And the person they married was an absolute demon who was the worst person in the world, who deserves death. And I'm like, okay, but you chose that person. You looked at that person and said, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. So what does that say about you? And I know you guys are like, well, Sarah, you're not married. Like, why are you judging right now? And my answer to that is, let's do it like louder. We just go back and forth until it's like screaming. And it's not funny anymore. It's not funny at all. Oh, celebrities. And I'm getting a little frustrated with the fame thing. All these celebrities, they want to be famous. They want to be famous. They want to be famous. They're regular people like us, and then at some point they get famous. There's some people that are born into fame, so I understand. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people that are just dying to be famous. What is fame? Fame is people knowing you, people recognizing you. That's what fame is. So with fame then comes power, comes money, comes all these opportunities that regular people don't get. So you want fame. But then all of these famous people are so upset that people want to talk to them on the streets, want an autograph. They're upset about the paparazzi and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm sorry, sweetie baby poo. You don't get it both ways. You don't get it both ways. You either have the fame and no one recognizes you, no one knows you, you don't get to do these special things, you don't get to go to these special clubs and all that kind of stuff, you don't get to talk to these celebrities, or you get the fame and you deal with it. There's pros and cons to everything. With great power comes great responsibility. That's what Spider-Man said. And it's true. And with fame comes some cons, some things that just suck. So deal with it. I know it was a random tangent, but it's been something that's been like actually annoying me lately. Okay, and we'll end with this. It was an article I saw. Man, I've been reading a lot of articles. I'm so cool and so intelligent and so amazing. Wow. Because I read an article. And more than just the headlines, I like actually read within the article. A little pro tip on the articles, by the way. The way that you're supposed to write articles, obviously the headline is supposed to draw people in. Duh, everybody knows that. It's supposed to go from beginning to end. It's the most important information. Basically, the first paragraph, it's supposed to basically summarize the whole story, and then it's supposed to be from then on the most informative information, the most interesting stuff, and then at the end it should be the least important stuff. Obviously, it has to be important enough to be in the article in the first place, but if you need to and you don't have enough time to read a whole article, just read like the first 3 paragraphs, and they'll probably give you all the information you need. Then it just goes to the little extras and stuff like that. And it's still like important information, just like not the summary of the story. So, gosh, that was a large tangent. I'm sorry about that. But basically, the article is about how like $100,000 salary in New York actually feels like $36,000. Like your money just doesn't go as far. 6 figures. And taxes and everything else just takes it all away. Inflation takes it all away. That is insanity. And then you got rent to pay in New York. Good luck to ya. I can't even imagine. That is so stressful to me. Yeah, it was basically pointed out by NASDAQ. 51% of people who earn more than $100,000 reported living paycheck to paycheck in December 2022. And that was an increase of 7% from a year earlier. You want to see Sarah with a face of disbelief? You're looking at it. You're looking at it. That's what that was. So yeah, so there's a lot of cities that are the opposite. So this is where the money goes the farthest. Memphis, Tennessee. So if you make $100,000 in Memphis, you take home $74,515 after federal and local taxes. And the cost of living is nearly 14% lower than the national average. So after all of it, basically, you're taking home like $86,400 and $44 whenever you adjust with the cost of living. That confuses me, I'm not going to lie. Okay, and then El Paso, Texas, which if you know anything about El Paso, Texas, yeah, you might take home a lot of money, but why would you want to live there? It's like a desert. There's not a lot going on there. Which, no, in a way, I guess that has its own beauty and stuff like that. No, I'm going to stick with my original opinion. If that's how I felt on the spot, then I'm going to stick with that. I don't want to live in the desert. There, I said it. But yeah, basically, you take home $84,966. Then Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Lubbock, Texas, Houston, Texas, three-way tie, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Arlington, Texas. I'm noticing a lot of Texas. I wonder if it's like the best state to live in ever. I'm going to go with yes. Then we got St. Louis, Missouri. So yeah, then New York is like all the way at the bottom, $35,791. By the way, taxes are the worst. What are taxes? Taxes is just money going straight to the government out of your pocket. And I notice a lot of politicians like taxes for whatever reason. I wonder why. Look for the politicians that are against taxes and try to vote for them. I know you're thinking, what then? That's going to be like a Republican, and I can't stand Republicans. Do you like taxes? I don't. I'm not a big fan, and I know you're not. You need to be honest with me and yourself. Let's talk about this. It's sad that you can make six figures and still live paycheck to paycheck. And we're all thinking, well, you're really utilizing your money the best that you can, blah, blah, blah. They're probably not, but still, that's not fun. If I was making $100,000, oh my gosh, I would be partying. It would be insane. People would be like, Sarah, stop. Sarah, you're partying too much. Sarah, stop. And I'd be like, no, I need to keep partying. This is who I am now. This is my identity. Guys, thank you so much for listening to me. You're the best. And I think you know that. I think you do. Let's not play around here. Like, you guys are awesome. I hope you have a great week and you utilize each day to the best of your ability and tell someone you love them. And if that person needs to be you looking in the mirror telling yourself you love you, then do that. Eat healthy, but also have a little bit of fun. And sleep a lot if you can. Oh my gosh, I had the best nap like a few hours ago. That's why I'm like so energetic right now. I'm like crazy right now. So yeah, sleep and then eat again. I love you guys. I love you a lot. I pay attention to you because you're worth it. All right. Have a good one.